Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I'm Mighty the Armadillo here, welcome you all back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars, aka Super Mario Collection, for those of you who live in Japan, while we're still playing through Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, alongside with the Nintendo Wii, due to the forms of the 25th anniversary celebration for the Super Mario Bros. Game, back in 2010 that is. In addition to that, the Nintendo Switch, due to the forms of the Super Nintendo games lineup for its online services. So last time, we've essentially did manage to complete World 6, which appears to be Iceland. Probably is kind of lengthy world, I might add, although despite the fact, on the other hand, we actually did that world pretty well. So today for this video is about the fact that we're about to be experiencing, to me though, is one of the longest worlds in the game due to the forms of this main mechanic, and that's what appears to be going through pipe to pipe in the world map. Which means that, yes, we're now going to be moving on to World 7, known as Pipeland, or technically speaking, as far as we play the Super Nintendo version after all, that I think it does have a different name this time. I think it did say Pipe Maze, although I might be wrong, because it's been a very long while since we actually last touched upon this game, because after all, that recently, that Joy, she's now able to actually tackle through the next installment of the WarioWare series of games, which means now we hit on to the Nintendo Wii from the likes of WarioWare Smooth Moves, and overall, she's actually not doing too shabby for the most part, even though, relatively speaking though, I'm sure that she'll talk more details about that in joining forms of the later weekends and beyond, although, relatively speaking, for I've heard, that unfortunately though, she was off by one microgame left for the likes of Young Cricket, selections of microgames, which is kind of unfortunate, but regardless of anything else though, as far as she said this before, that the structure of the actual Let's Play itself might felt a bit slightly similar to the forms of how it does it in WarioWare Touched, except the fact that the biggest difference is, well, let's just hope that she won't come across into that issue ever again, until specifically in the later stages in Journey forms of, as I said before, as well as Joy also mentioned about this earlier, that she will obviously focus on that in the majority of the weekends. So either way, so a few things we want to explain while this is going on is that, well, today's date of course is the 4th of April today, in this case in 2023 today. A few things I want to discuss, and that is about the fact that recently, during the forms of the UK country at this point, well, happy 9th anniversary of the release of Rio 2 back in the forms of in 2014. Now I do know for one thing in mind that Sonic did actually told me that he went to see it during the forms of, I would classify as saying during the weekend during that time, and overall he did really enjoy it. Even especially noticeable looking back in it right now, I've honestly have no idea why that most people complain about the film honestly, although mind you it has some lot of plot devices here and there, and on top of all that stuff though, there are a lot of segments that's usually forced upon, you know, going back and forth between, you know, Blue and Jules, family reunion, or on top of all that stuff though, Nigel's revenge on Blue, and on top of all that stuff though, with just multitude of story arcs that just feels all over the place. But I still managed to enjoy it looking back on it though, especially concerning about the fact that it's a shame there's no Rio 3, or perhaps even maybe that we will see something related to the spin-off of the Rio film series, usually focusing on Pedro and Nico, which I think imagine about the fact that think of like The Lion King 1.5, except the fact that, well, obviously the main focus for that is like, you know what I mean, Mighty, it's about the fact that imagine if they announced the spin-off of the Rio film series, and if they accidentally did say Rio 3, then obviously it'll actually feel like it's exactly the same concept as the forms of The Lion King 1.5, you know, with that film focuses on Timon and Pumbaa's perspective while they're going through the events of the original The Lion King, right? Yeah, that seems true, but what are you trying to say from that? Well, because imagine this, right, that if they're gonna call it like Rio 1.5, then obviously it'll be mainly focusing on Petro and Nico. Imagine that for its concept, but either way though, time will tell, especially concerning about the fact that, well, after all though, it's about the fact that until tomorrow, after this video releases, that the Super Mario Bros. Movie on the big screen is releasing tomorrow on the 5th of April, and I'm really hyped about it, and I'm sure that we'll grab some more Mario merchandise with us, just to ensure that maybe potentially though, Mighty, that we can probably able to invite not only Sonic, despite the fact that he only cares about his movies anyway, but we more so we're trying to invite not only Blue and Jewel, but also with Dialga, Baya, and Carla. I mean, that won't be that bad, right? Well, because I can definitely tell that about the fact that those 3 kids have never actually experienced the cinema on their own time. Yeah, it will be nice to be able to invite, you know, 5 of us, well, usually for Blue, Jewel, and, you know, Dialga, and, Baya, and, Carla, then we should able to have some, you know, a lot of fun times, you know? Yeah, I can assure you we're able to do for the sake of time, so... yeah, that'll be amazing, all things considered, so... Oh yeah, another thing I would like to mention, speaking of Mario, related, actually, that I somehow managed to able to got back into the forms of... did you somehow skip the water level by any chance, Mighty? Yeah, I think I do, because I want able to get... the tower level over and done with, and on top of that, I do need to grab, you know, some more extra lives if I can, if I decided to, so, okay, fair point, so, anyway, so, yeah, speaking of Mario-related news, is that, obviously we've almost done with the forms of the Ninja Tour, which I could have expected to call it the Desert Tour. I'm sure that Maxi has already mentioned about this ever since in his wrapped up Let's Play of Piglet's Big Game. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's about the fact that, well, speaking of which though, we will find out more details about what the next tours are going to be. In terms of Mario Kart Tour, well, I'm pretty sure that Maxi has already mentioned about this during the forms of in Piglet's Big Game, or potentially speaking of that Sonic also mentioned more about it during the forms of that specific time, so, but either way though, I actually have to admit it though right away, that despite the bad controls and all that stuff, I actually had a good time with it. Well, mind you about the fact that a lot of people seem to be able to get a lot of confusion at this point, especially concerning about the fact that imagine if Wave 5 will be on its way, and I've honestly have no idea where you're going, Mighty, because you seemed able to go wandered off and stuff like that. Oh, maybe because I somehow accidentally skipped the pipe from that particular... does it actually gives me a Tanuki suit by any chance, which is actually the most mandatory thing in this particular level? Well, suffice to say, despite the fact that you did somehow manage to save up some of your super leaves of yours, then yeah, the Tanuki suit is going to be the most mandatory thing in this level, because there is actually a pipe well hidden around here somewhere, which actually leads you straight to the Boom Boom boss fight, so that actually explains any of that stuff. It's almost like a puzzle level to me though, so relatively speaking, you've only got about less than 100 seconds left, so oh, I can't really tell which one is which. And it turns out it's going to be right near where the plus symbol is. Because get it, with that particular thing is going to tell you where you're supposed to get up to. Ah, there we go. And that way, it'll lead you to the Boom Boom fight. So, overall, that despite that there's no enemies around here, which is very surprising, all things considered. Especially despite the fact that, well, all you have to really do is just find a secret room, and then it actually just somehow transports you into... one of those 2 pipes that it leads you to the Tanuki suit, as well as the forms of the continuation of the level, or something like that. So, anyway, so, I guess I have no choice but to tackle for level 4 anyway, so either way. And of course, this will be the final underwater level in the game, so just to ensure about the fact that how tricky this level can be for me. So, anywho though, so... I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this too is that, relatively speaking, we finally managed able to realize that, although before we get into more details onto this though, that there was actually a game that we've briefly talked about ever since in the past few months or something like that. That's of course Final Fantasy 16, that in terms of the forms of the actual game's length, that relatively speaking, in terms of likely for its hour gameplay, well, I can assure you that someone actually mentions that Final Fantasy 16 will take around 35 hours to finish the main story, which, gee, is going to be one of the longest games ever? Well, yeah, I think it's going to be more accurately like the longest entry in the series. And on top of that, there's also going to be 70, 80, or relatively speaking, 72 80 hours to complete the 100%ing the game. So, yeah, it's gonna be kind of like the exactly same game's length as in Breath of the Wild almost. Well, except the fact that in Breath of the Wild there's gonna be 100 plus hours if you do have your spare time to able to actually just to complete not only the majority of the shrines, but also side quests, and even especially notable if we're trying to get the Cocoa Seeds. So, yeah, that's just all Korok Seeds. I keep thinking about Sonic Frontiers for some reason. Oh yeah, speaking of Sonic Frontiers though, we finally get ourselves our first free updates in terms of the forms of Sonic Frontiers, which it did happen during the forms of about a couple of days ago. So yes, we finally get a chance to able to try out the first of 3 free content updates for Sonic Frontiers, which I know for the fact that Mighty has already mentioned about this earlier. It did already came out ever since in the 23rd of March, which I suppose we honestly forgot to mention about, and unfortunately you do die due to the forms of that specific small jump you'd have to make a leaps of faith from. So, but I suppose I'm also able to be on its way at that one point, but for now, I'm just gonna focus on the next level, which appears to be level 5, where it's all about, you know, just going from pipe to pipe, and basically though, it's about the fact that we're trying to figure out, you know, the invisible blocks where that's gonna be located, and you probably name the rest of it, so... But yeah, it's been quite some time since we've actually last played Sonic Frontiers, specifically on the Switch version most likely, because obviously about the fact that I love to play the game on the go, despite the actual frame rate is a bit all over the place, but regardless of such though, it still runs very, very well, as we've already stated this before, countless amount of times. So, yeah, relatively speaking, some stuff we've got right now for the first free content at the moment, which there are, you know what I mean, the camera mode, photo mode, and also say applies with that time attack mode, or it's kind of hard to explain because I know for a fact that it's been a couple of days ago since we've actually last played Sonic Frontiers on the Switch, and maybe we can probably get back into the Xbox One version as well at some point, but as far as the PS4 version is concerned, well, spoiler alert, we'll have to save that up during the Let's Play for the sake of time, so... Yeah, I was thinking about that, so... Anywho, oh, out of nowhere, it's about the fact that Kirby and the Forgotten Land did somehow once again updated the actual present codes. So as a result, gee, no wonder why that game is not gonna give up on the present codes anytime soon. Well, relatively speaking though, despite the fact that that game came out a year ago right now, yeah, after the events of the 25th of March, which, relatively speaking, we could have able to actually mention about it, but of course, because we were out throughout the majority of the holiday break, so, yeah, I do apologize for that, folks, but either way, so, yeah, I guess that's all I can say about this for the most part, and, yeah, conveniently enough though, there's also another thing we would like to say, is about the fact that The Last of Us Season 1 is getting a Blu-ray release at some point in this summer. It could either be June, July, or August, depending on the forms of certain types of day. So, that'll be interesting, all things considered. Well, we still haven't exactly seen The Last of Us just yet though, but we'll get around to it at some point. Well, assuming of course, if we invite... I don't know, Shadow, I guess, because he likes dark and edgy stuff, from what I've heard anyway. Yeah, I was thinking about that, especially because, relatively speaking, he just likes to utilize, you know, guns and stuff like that, which I've honestly have no idea why he managed able to fiddle around with these guns in the first place. well, I don't know about you for this point, Mighty, because relatively speaking, he just can't help it for himself about the fact that he just likes to do dark and edgy things or anything else like that, so... And what exactly are you supposed to do right there? Oh, I was expecting to be able to do the infinite one-up trick, but of course that particular trick failed, so... Oh yeah, because you keep thinking about playing, not only Super Mario Brothers, but also the Lost Levels as well. That's, because that way you can able to get infinite amount of lives to do so. But I'm sure it's possible in this game, but it's actually kind of tricky to execute sometimes. I don't know if we might as well do that on the Game Boy Advance version, personally, because I know for the fact that we're relatively speaking, we'll, point things out whenever we get into it, so... Anywho, so... Yeah, not much else to say, apart from the fact that, well, relatively speaking... Oh, Jesus Louise, that was actually a close call, on my ad, because, relatively speaking, I almost gonna get, you know, killed by the forms of Koopa Troopas, Spikes, Piranha Plants, you name the rest. I mean, sure enough, though, it can be very, tricky to time my jumps and what have you, so... Oh yeah, and another thing too is about the fact that for those of you who lived in Japan anyway, that I'm pretty sure that, you know, Dokapon Kingdom Connect is going to be releasing on the Japanese marketing until, roughly about, let's say 9 days from now, or I think it's roughly 8 days from now in Japan, because obviously the Japan's time zone is actually a lot different compared to our time zone, so I can possibly understand it, so... Either way, so, again, there's not much else I can say, well, apart from the fact that, well, yeah. Alright, so I just got to able to just keep on hopping to those little elevator blocks to able to proceed and progress. Seems that you're not doing too bad, or anything else to be more specific, well, apart from a couple of exceptions about the fact that, well, you know what I'm saying. Oh yeah, there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that, well, conveniently enough, that have you ever heard of the channel called, The Completionist? Well, as it turns out, that he did upload a video, during the informs of about the fact that, did you know it's been about, a week ago, since when the 3DS and Wii U eShops are dead? So because of that though, what I didn't actually realize is that the actual video of The Completionist, he did somehow brought every single games digitally for the sake of the forms of the Wii U and eShop applications for its eShop. So pretty interesting all things considered, especially because, well, you know what I mean about the fact that it's a pretty tragic day. Ever since about a week ago, that for the Wii U owners and the 3DS owners, like, you know, we can no longer get DLC things for, you know, Mario Golf World Tour and Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U, and even Fire Emblem games as well. And, of course, most notably out of them all, though, is, of course, Virtual Console games as well, including Pokemon stuff on the Game Boy / Game Boy Color, and on top of that, you know, tons of, Zelda games. I honestly have no idea what's wrong with my throat at the moment, because I was trying to able to speak, clearly, but then I found out that I've somehow got my croaky throat, so I do apologize for that, folks. Anyway, but, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that you can no longer get, certain Zelda games digitally, like, for instance, you know, Link's Awakening DX, although luckily you're still able to actually access that game thanks to the actual Nintendo Switch Online. And eventually we'll get ourselves Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and, you know, we've now got, you know, the Minish Cap on the Nintendo Switch as well. And, yeah, it's just, you know, it's just with a couple of games, like, let's just say, the DS Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, that's kind of unfortunate you can no longer get those two on digital, games and stuff like that, which, luckily, we're still able to actually have those, because we might concerning to able to do a Let's Play of, especially because, well, obviously with, you know, handling DS games, you know, with the actual hardware while recording, that it just feels a bit cumbersome at points, at least to me anyway, so, apart from a couple of exceptions though, mind you, so, Alright, so now I'm going to be tackling for this level where it features a Starman, so of course the Starman will be mandatory in order able to proceed for this stage, because otherwise, if you run out of your time limit for the sake of the forms of utilizing the Starman, then obviously you're going to get hit by those munchers down below. So of course you need to be fast on that as well, because otherwise, if you don't be too fast enough, basically you will die. So, definitely a little bit of a trickier level, I might add. So, but at least luckily for me, I did this on the first attempt, and huzzah! I've now got myself even more extra lives. Yeah, pretty awesome for you. Especially concerning about the fact that I will say, you did a lot better than I thought it was. Well, thanks, bro. Especially unlike the NES version that I keep on dying most of the time. In certain stages anyway, so... Yeah, I can totally see why that about the fact that most people seem to prefer the Super Nintendo version sometimes. But either way, though, that's all I can really predict on that. So, alright, so now it's my turn to do level 8, and I think I should probably go for the Invincibility Starman for some reason. And because of that, though, I just need able to just be very careful on this stage, because obviously this stage is filled to the brim with piranha plants, and I can totally see why that... Well, I honestly don't think about the fact that World 7 isn't that difficult, I must be honest, but it's just that, well, it can be felt a bit lengthy at points, especially because, as I said before, in a world map anyway, you have to go through a lot of pipes in order able to progress, so... Alright, so this is where things gets a bit tricky, I will admit though, especially because I need to avoid those little spiky ball stuff that those... Oh god! Okay. And also I just realized with those enemies right there, that we've already, you know, bypassed, well, not the other guys, but the previous sections ago, that those guys do return from the likes of the forms of a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for Riverside Park. Oh yeah, I just realized that. Yeah, anyway, so now it's your turn to... I'm guessing you're trying to able to catch up to me for extra lives, aren't you? Well, I'm hoping so anyway, because obviously I am... Oh, can I possibly get 3 1-ups or something? Nope. Darn it. Okay. I might also get the item instead. And let's see what item you're gonna get. Really? A frog suit? Although, relatively speaking though, I actually couldn't think about it, there was one Toad House left that I believe me and you have never actually come across into earlier. Oh gee, who's gonna make it there first, I wonder? Well, I would say it'll probably be me, because obviously you're now doing level 9, which actually takes place in a desert for some reason. So as a result, all you have to really do is just make your way to the correct direction to, you know, the actual pipe, which leads us to the, you know, the ending portion of the level, so... Now, I suppose the last thing I want to mention, though, is that apparently, out of nowhere, that, you know, with the fact that with Daisy's summer outfit, or to be more specifically with the sports outfit that we already saw, let's just say ever since in Mario Super Sluggers or something, basically, though, is that apparently that particular pose for Daisy while she was actually stretching, apparently we're getting a new render of her out of nowhere. Well, I think my guess for that is, though, bro, is that I'm pretty certain that the Mario Baseball game might be on its works or something. I don't know about you, Mighty, because despite the fact that until tomorrow, that the Mario movie will be releasing until tomorrow during that time, so of course they need to work on that first before they, going back into working on game routines for the sake of the Mario games and stuff like that, because, I mean, let's face it, though, it's been about... you know, quite a few months ago, actually. Specifically, well, not counting forms of the DLC stuff for Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, but also with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as well. But in terms of, like, newer games, from Mario anyway, for the Nintendo Switch library of software, that it's been, like, you know, roughly 6 months since we've actually last had the actual brand new Mario game where it comes to, you know, being developed for the Nintendo Switch. And that's, of course, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So, yeah, that might be something I would classify for noticing this from the start. So, and I've obviously have no idea why I go into the wrong pipe for whatever reason, because I'm gonna head over to that last Toad House in the game for the sake of the forms of trying to get the final item for... You know, before I tackle through the tower level, pretty much, so... Because that's how I usually roll. Well, that's easy for you to say. Because yeah, you can totally see why that this particular video, or potentially speaking, the actual world itself is a bit lengthy to me. Because obviously you need to go through pipe to pipe. But are you serious? You giving me a regular mushroom at the end? Oh, this is rigged. Jeez. Nah, whatever. I'll take it. I'll take it, I guess. Although, to be fair though, I've seemed able to get, you know, quite a few items every now and then, but either way, I guess I just have to able to just stick around with it, I guess. So, oh well, and I think something tells me I'm going to the wrong pipe, aren't I? Yep, it actually leads me to the dead end, so... Hey, it's a bit of a tedious process, but either way, sometimes it always happens in my honest luck, or anything else like that, so... Alright, this might take a while, I guess. And obviously, unlike those Hammer Bros, as you probably already noticed, that those little munchers doesn't seem to move about. So, either way. Oh, can I possibly get 3 more extra lives? Hey! Huzzah for my timing skills. Thank you. And now I'm actually at 42 lives. So, yeah, I'm pretty cool and also, you know, hardcore when it comes to likely playing this game. So, anyway, so let's just go ahead and equip myself the, yeah, the mushroom, just in case if I was going to use that at some point until now. So, oh god, there's going to be a lot of leaps of faith around here. Well, not necessarily a leaps of faith per se. Well, unlike in the Lost Levels, that it does have a lot of emphasis on leaps of faith, and I somehow died due to this very questionable slip up right there, which honestly that was not expecting on my perspective, but oh well. I'll let Mighty take in charge for this level, so yep, because I'm gonna able to, oh shoot. Yeah, you still need to be very careful though. Alright, so I don't know, suppose if you noticed, but relatively speaking, that's actually that's as far as I can talk about. I mean, yeah, there's not much else you can say, personally speaking, but it's just that, well, I'm honestly shocked and surprised that when it comes to Mario Kart Tour in general, that they somehow skipped over the events that features, you know, 3.5 years, although I'm guessing it's more accurately they're trying to, I don't know about you, because either way though it's been, you know, quite a few days since we've actually last recorded this, basically. So, either way, seems like you're not doing too bad on this, despite you lost your raccoon tail, or the raccoon suit, so... But at least it doesn't matter to me though, because I'm just gonna have to, like, I don't know, just trying to do the hard way, I guess. Oh jeez, that was close. I almost gonna get screwed over by that roto disc, and even that Thwomp over there too. Anyway, now it's time for you to take on Boom Boom again, so... And he doesn't spew out wings anytime soon, until maybe at some point in the final world, which obviously you already guys know about this, because, you know, we've already did the NES version of the game already, so... Actually, kind of think about it, let me test out for something, but before I get into the forms of the final level in World 7, let me go ahead and demonstrate with the music box to see what really happens in this world. Oh, okay, seems like I can able to bypass this little flower trap obstacle and then head straight over to... Oh, awesome. Okay, even though it's not meant to be to happen, because, well, I'll just see what really happens. Oh, it's Yoshi! And plus, no, it's not terrible, because look at him! He's cute! As a king! I mean, keep him there. I mean, literally, just keep him like this. Especially because, well, despite the fact that unlike the NES version, that is a completely different transformation, but I was expecting to able to just, you know, jump off the airship fortress and call it a day, but apparently we can't. So, unfortunately, we have to sacrifice that particular Yoshi transformation, so... I'm guessing a lot of Yoshi fans will be a little bit more ticked off at this point whenever we do somehow rescue the king, but I guess beggars can't be choosers, I guess. And there's a good reason why I somehow managed to able to try to go ahead and use my P-Wing on this level, because I will say that this level is pretty tricky, and it's also kind of lengthy too, so yeah, in terms of like, anything else I could possibly discuss upon, I think that's as far as I can talk about, don't you think? Well, I was gonna think about the same thing, because relatively speaking, that, I'm sure that, the most of us, we've already explained more details in the past, and, relatively speaking of that, because we're getting nearly at the end of the game, so relatively speaking, after we're done with, or after you, Ray, that you've actually, after when you tackle for this level, that we can hit on to the final world in the game, known as World 8, so, and by that time, once we're done with World 8, that basically does it for every single games in this entire compilation. Well, apart from that one particular exception, mind you, but then again, we'll save that until specifically as a double upload for the sake of the films off on Thursday, the 6th of April. Just about a day after the Super Mario Bros. Movie is going to be releasing on the big screen, so... And of course, you know exactly what the final Koopaling we're about to take on. That's of course, Ludwig von Koopa. So, definitely one of the trickier Koopalings in the game. Well, it's nowhere near as like that annoying compared to the forms of how it does it on Windio Koopa or Lemmy Koopa, in my opinion. Just because, thank God, there's no projectiles. So, either way, that basically does it for the likes of, well, World 7. So, yeah, again, very lengthy though. It'll probably took us for about 30 or so minutes, depending on the actual pipe travels, so... Well, despite the fact that I've lost my, Raccoon power-up, but that's okay, because relatively speaking, I've somehow managed to already taken care of him, no problem. Especially since I fly infinitely with that P-meter, and then basically though is about the fact that I don't have to worry about getting stunned by the forms of that particular earthquake stomps, so... But of course, much like the NES version of the particular game, once you complete World 7, then you don't receive the item. So instead, there's a letter to Bowser, in this case the King of the Koopa. So, yeah, you know what I mean. Princess Peach has been kidnapped, and it's just Super Mario Bros. All over again. So, except the fact that, well, it's up to us two to able to stop Bowser once and for all. So, either way, I suppose we should probably end things off at this point right here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars while we're playing through Super Mario Bros. 3. Instead, we're going to be heading on to the final world in the game, which is World 8. So, yeah, it should be a lot more fun and interesting. And after all, we only got our last few levels to go, and hopefully we'll rescue Princess Peach once again. So, we'll see you guys until on Thursday. Later, dudes.